Hi, Fiona. Let me know when you can hear me.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well.
Good.
Yeah. Um,
Did you have a good day at school?
yeah, pretty good. I had what did I have today? I actually don't know. Oh, the our school counselors came over. They were talking about like high school stuff and whatever, because obviously that. And then my dad and I were just watching. We've been watching this TV show called Wolf, based off the books by what's him face. I can't remember his name. But it's like a mystery series with this guy who is a detective, and he just sits in, and he lives in a brownstone in New York, and he has this associate guy, I don't know, assistant question mark, named Archie, who goes out and like does stuff, and they solve crimes, murders, stuff. It's fun.
Cool. Sounds fun.
Very fun. Yeah, he
Crime
has them all
fighting
on CD.
shows.
Well, it's more like a kind of like a detective, like whodunit kind of thing. But my dad has them all
Oh.
on CD, which is fun. And they're
Oh,
also
nice.
free on Internet Archive, which I thought was so cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So you don't have to wait through commercials or anything. That sounds fun.
Very fun. I'm very much enjoying it.
Alrighty. So then, um, what would you say would you mostly like to work on today?
I don't know. So last time we were working on my own, and we were doing like a we're working on getting like the musical theater sound.
Yeah.
But I felt like my voice last week, it was still like, oh, it felt like pretty just like wrong. I don't know, like I not that I was singing it wrong, but just like it had been like overworked or something. I don't know what I did, but it just felt
Mm,
kind of rough. And I was just
yeah.
warming up. I was just practicing a little bit beforehand, and it still kind of feels like that. I don't know if that's just like a lack
Oh,
of training in that area of my voice, or if that's just like overworking it previously, or like something illness. I don't know, but it
well, what
doesn't.
is it feeling like? What are you noticing?
I feel like I'm straining when I sing like that, even though
Mm.
the notes that I'm singing aren't out of my range.
Hmm. Okay. So is there any pain with it?
I don't think so. No, it
Okay,
just I kind of feel like I'm straining, and I don't know.
sure.
I didn't want
So
to like
more
hurt my voice, so I didn't work
effortful.
on that as much.
Yeah. So one thing is that it is going to be more effortful in different ways. So one thing that you will feel is that in the voice, in the throat, you're going to feel a little more firm pressure on the vocal fold closure, and there will be a more pressurized airflow because when we engage that side to side muscle, you're going to be pushing more firmly together with those vocal folds. And so then it does take a little more effort to get the air to pass through. So sometimes when you first start doing that, it's like, oh, that feels really different because you're utilizing the muscles differently. And then you're going to feel that there is more intensity with the air pressure in your throat. So that might be what you're feeling. As long as there's nothing painful, um, like if it feels more effortful, that's not really worrisome. And when you're first learning these techniques, you may find that you fatigue a little bit more quickly, things like that. And that's very normal. And then as you get more and more used to it, it'll get easier and easier. So before trying to really belt it out, like really loud, intense belting, try to get a really strong mix first. And then you can add in the belty quality on top of that solid mix. Um, but if you don't have that mix solid first, it's like trying to do algebra before learning division when all you know is like
Yeah.
addition and subtraction. You're going to get stuck then. Um, so then, it's kind of missing a step in between. So, if we can focus on getting a really nice solid mix first, I think that you might be a little more comfortable
Okay.
vocally.
Yeah, because I felt like I kept like dropping out of notes. Like my notes weren't hitting where I wanted them to hit, where I was even like aiming them to hit. I don't know if that's just like probably like.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Like that you felt like you were going flat, maybe?
I think flat probably. Uh
Okay.
huh.
Yeah, I feel like if you're carrying your chest voice muscle up higher and possibly not using quite enough of your head voice muscle at the same time, you could start to feel like you're dragging weight up and then going flat a little bit. So that might be what's happening, that we maybe are using too much chest voice muscle too high and that we need to mix a little bit more.
All right.
So that could be.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So yeah, we could work on that or anything else. I really do not know.
sure. Yeah. So then have you sung today?
Not really. I was just kind of I
Sure.
warmed up like a little bit, but I don't really know that well how to warm up on my own. So.
Yeah. Okay, sure. And then so we're going to focus a little bit on the more intense pressurized feeling with those vocal folds today.
Alrighty.
Um and trying to really mix and feel where we want to have those adjustments happen, the transitions and such. All right, great. So let's go ahead and dive in and see if we can make this a little bit more comfortable for you.
Oh, before we start, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just all throughout today, I've been having like these really, really weirdly strong hiccups,
Oh,
but they kind of go in and out. Like sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. So if I do, that might happen. I don't know. Uh, don't be worried. That's just something weird. I don't know.
all righty. Good to know. Yeah. Um, I find that singers actually, in my experience and what I've observed, tend to have more things like hiccups or burps or like stomach gurgles and like, you're like, oh, my stomach is talking, like growling and gurgling and things. Um, in my experience, that happens more often, and I think it's probably because we're moving our torso so much as we're breathing and utilizing that breath and moving that core around. So it could just be something like that, or, you just, for whatever reason, have
I
more hiccups today.
I
That's
remember
okay.
specifically when I was in fifth grade, I would get like these really, this was before I did voice, I get like these really, really, really strong hiccups. Like it was like really frustrating because I felt like I was gonna throw up, like I was
Oh
nauseous every
no.
time. It's like never happened, thank goodness, but like I
Yeah,
think that's
that
just
sounds
me. That
uncomfortable.
always it just happens to me. Like for some like maybe for like a week I'll just have like really weirdly strong hiccups,
Yeah.
but then like never again.
Oh. I barely ever get them, so I actually am kind of weird. I kind of enjoy getting them because I get them
That's
so rarely.
fair. No,
But when
it's
I
kind
was
of a rare
really
experience.
little, I remember I was at a babysitter's and I got what I call like hiccups, where you like hiccup and burp at the same
Yeah.
time. And she got really mad at me. And so I'm like, maybe that's why I don't get hiccups. Maybe I'm like
Why
scared out
would
of the
she get mad
hiccups.
at you for that?
She was like, "Stop burping. That's so rude." And I was like, "I can't help it." And I like legit had hiccups and I was like burping at the same time as hiccuping.
That
And
happened
she
to
got
me.
really upset with me.
Oh,
So I'm like,
that's
maybe I don't get
sad.
them very often because I got like
You got
scared
like
out of the
scared
hiccups. I'm
out of
like
the
4 years
hiccup.
old. Yeah.
Diaphragm thing. So maybe training diaphragm as a singer has helped you not get hiccups. Or maybe
Maybe that's it. Yeah. Who knows?
I only know that because my mom told me. She's like, it's a
Yeah,
diaphragm thing. You got to reset your
right. Yeah. Yeah, that it's like your breath gets wonky, like out of sync, and your diaphragm has to sort of sync back up.
diaphragm.
So, yeah. But I think most people don't enjoy getting hiccups. So,
I
hopefully
saw my
they can
dad
go
get
away.
hiccups. He drinks out of the other side of the cup and he says that works fine. And
Oh,
I like that.
maybe. Yeah. Well, maybe as we're singing, it'll get better. It'll
Maybe.
help
I
reset it.
haven't had them for like an hour, but I did have them when I got home from school. It was like,
Okay, well, hopefully they don't come back, but if they do, oh well. We'll work
yeah.
through it.
Alrighty. Sorry, I didn't mean for that to be such a tangent, but
Oh, it's okay. I remember I got hiccups one time while I was like leading music at church, and I
oh no.
apologized to the other musicians. I like started to laugh, and I was like, "I'm so sorry. I got the hiccups right there at the end." Like,
I know that's
and they were like, "Oh, that's
frustrating.
hilarious." They were like, "We wondered what happened," because I just like all of
Oh
a sudden
my
like kept
god.
cutting off.
Oh, well, I wonder what a musician would do like if they're about to perform and they get hiccups. It's like there's not much you can do, right? Like
I know, yeah.
gotta wait for it to go
I just
away.
tried to like, hold my breath,
Hold them
breathe,
in.
like try to,
Hold them
yeah,
in.
and just do my best. But I kept like notes that would sustain. I kept like cutting off in the middle of them, and they're like, "What's going on?"
Oh my. That's
Fortunately,
funny.
that was the only time it ever happened while I was
Okay,
music
that's
leading music
good.
at church, so that's good. But it was just a funky day, you know?
Yeah, I
Fortunately, it
wonder
was the
what that.
end of the service. It was our
Oh,
last
that is
song of the day.
nice. I wonder what would happen if that was like a Broadway singer with like a main role, because like that would be really bad.
Yeah.
Like,
I
uh,
have not had that happen, but I guess you just, smile and you do your best with it. I do have
do
a
your
friend
best. The
who
show must go on.
she had like a stomach bug and there wasn't an understudy and she did the show anyway and she kept like running off stage and like barfing into a bucket and then she'd run back on and like keep doing the
Oh.
show.
Performers are insane. I've had a
Yeah.
girl, several different girls perform while sick at my dance studio. Um, they'll perform it like I pulled my hip. Oh no! But it's a competition, and they do it, and it's like you shouldn't do that. It just makes it worse. But like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
I mean,
Uh,
I've done that though
yeah.
too. I had an accident and I did a show anyway, even though like my medical professionals were like, we really don't recommend that because I was like I had post-concussion syndrome, so like my vision was a little wonky and I would get like dizzy. And then I also had like blood in my right lung and I had like injured my
Oh
ribs on the
no!
right side. And I was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And I did. And I think because I was dizzy, I actually broke two toes during the show as well. But I just like kept doing it. Like I remember turning to my partner and being like, I think I just broke two of my toes. And he was like, great, let's go. And I was like, awesome. And we were like, and we're here on
So
stage.
I heard a story. I don't know if this was from my mom or at her dance studio or wherever. I don't think it was her, but there was a girl who was a ballerina who obviously she was doing footes, right? Where you go out and then with the leg and you spin while you're doing it.
Hmm.
Um, and she broke her foot in the middle of the footes and kept
Ow.
doing the footes. Like, oh my
Nice.
gosh. I'm really
Yikes. I saw a circus performer friend of mine was doing this thing where he was like juggling a giant metal cage basically
oh
and
my.
he like landed it and his knee like popped out of socket and he like struck a pose and like we heard it distinctly like we heard a big crack and we were like oh my gosh is he okay and then he like limped off stage at the end of it and we were like
Oh no.
oh but he just like he powered through, you know?
Performers, man.
We
It's a
were like,
different
dang.
breed.
Yeah, yeah. I even like I think back I'm like I'm so stupid. But like when I was younger, I even like I was skiing in Vermont. Well, I was snowboarding at first and then I was doing this hill that was like a black diamond and the entire thing was like almost straight down just moguls the entire way. And I was
I
like
love
if I was
skiing
on
down.
skis this would be easier. And I ended up getting the front stuck and I like flipped back and I twisted my ankle when I fell back and I just like powered through, like got down the hill and I was like done for that day. But then I was like, it's only my first day of a whole week of skiing. I already paid for my lift tickets. I was like, I will not stay in the cabin. So
Oh
I
no.
taped up my ankle every day. I like iced it every night. I just like popped ibuprofen and just powered through and I switched to skis so I could put a little more weight on my right foot, but I just was determined, I was like, I'm gonna do this.
I was desperately looking for this bottle of Advil yesterday, and lo and
No.
behold, it was right here. Yay. It'll
Yeah.
never ruin the house. Migraine core.
Oh, yeah. I think, like you said, performers are a different breed. We're just like the show must go on.
Must go on. Yeah. I had a migraine last night, and then I had to do 2 pages of algebra, which is just not fun.
Fun. Yikes.
Yay. And I have a
That's
test
awful.
tomorrow.
And you have to like think, and you're just like,
I went straight to bed after that. Like, I was like a
yeah,
zombie. I was like, okay.
I don't blame you. Yoinks. That sucks. Well, I'm
Cannot get
glad.
this
I
bottle
hope
open.
you're feeling better now.
Oh,
I
yeah, I'm
I was
fine. I don't know
assuming you
why this
are.
is done. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, if that ever happens and we have a lesson, you let me know and we'll just switch to another day so you can
Of
rest
course.
because
Thank
I have
you.
gotten them too and it's not fun.
Mm-mm. I've been getting migraines since I was like literally a baby. Like my mom,
Oh
they didn't know what
man.
it was at the time, but when she remembers me being like one and like having these weird like fits where I just
Mhm.
wasn't myself. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Getting them since birth, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I didn't really get mine until I had a head injury. And then unfortunately, I've had, multiple concussions. And so
Oh
every
my.
time they get a little worse, but
I've never
hopefully I
had a
won't do that anymore.
concussion.
Fingers crossed.
I have no idea how I've never had a concussion. I run into stuff
Oh,
all the
oh.
time. All the time.
Yeah, my doctors, they're like, try not to hit your head anymore. And then I'll like bump them on a kitchen cabinet and I'm like, dang it.
Yeah. Far from when I ran my head into a pole as like a tiny child.
Oh man. Alrighty, well, we are gonna
Already,
get used
sorry.
to that. It's okay, that more belty, mixy kind of feeling.
Yes. Yes.
So we're gonna try to focus on mixing and a little more pressurization on those vocal folds, all right? So we're gonna try on an E. So we're first gonna slide. Let's go E. Just sliding on that E, nice and bright. Breathing in. E. 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 All right, so from here on, switch to A. All right, now we're going to go A to Ah. Back to A. E. All right, nice. Okay, so we're going to try doing some exercises within the song now. So, that way we'll be kind of like working on technique, but also warming up the voice more, but also working on the song all at the same time. Alrighty, so I've got that music pulled up here. And let's do. Okay, so in the low notes, let's sing on E. When we go up higher, it's like your mid to high range. We're going to switch to an A at that point. So at the beginning, it's going to be an E. All right, breathing in at the start. E, Awesome. All right, so then let's try going through. This time, let's do on V, 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 but we'll switch to V when we go higher. And this time, we're going to focus on keeping it more straight tone, so minimizing that vibrato. That'll be more stylistically appropriate. And even when you're mixing, it's going to sound more belty when it's straight tone. All right, let's try it. Breathing in. V, V, V.
Voice like cracked and it hurt.
Oh, it's okay. Let's try that again. Breathing in. V, V, V. V, 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 Good. Then V, 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 V. Good. Now, you might notice as we're mixing and we're going more straight tone, it's going to be a little bit softer than if you were singing like in Think of Me, like, ah, where everything has more vibrato. Um, that's a little more of like the legit classical technique. It's going to feel bigger and boomier, which is because it is. This song is meant to be sung with microphone, whereas that song you could maybe do without because it's more classical, right? And that classical technique helps us to carry with the voice. So if it feels a little bit softer, that's okay. The important thing
The
is to
point.
get the
Right here.
effects. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the
Ooh.
microphone is there to help you. All right. So let's go ahead and try. We're going to do this now on wah, wah, wah. And we're going to think a little more of that belty quality this time. If you push to the point that it feels like really uncomfortable or starts to feel painful, that's too much. So just go, just have the intensity you can have while still feeling like efficient and balanced and sustainable. Yeah? All right, so let's try that on the wah, wah, wah with a little bit of like a tight behind the nose kind of feeling and a little more belty quality, a little more intensity, and a little more air pressure here in the throat. Breathing in. Wah, wah, wah,
Wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah, wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah, wah,
wah,
wah.
wah, wah, wah,
Wah, wah,
wah, wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah, wah,
wah,
wah,
wah.
wah.
Wah, wah,
Wah,
wah.
wah,
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 wah.
wah.
Wah,
Wah,
wah, wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah, wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah,
wah.
wah. right, good. So, what did you feel there? How does that feel any different?
Well, I really understand why they call it vocal placement because I can kind of really feel it like right here. I don't know how where to describe
Right,
that.
yeah.
Right, like in like
Mm-hmm.
between side palate, half palate, and then I can kind of like I know what you mean a little bit there. But that one I was feeling less than the other one, but still like
Okay.
a little bit more on the higher notes.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay. All right. So we're going to try on the words this time. So the reason I like to have you reflect is because if you can articulate what it is you're feeling and identify that, then I know that you can duplicate that later, right? You
right,
can
definitely.
reproduce that later. All right. So let's try now on our words. One, two, breathe. On
On
my
my
own,
own,
pretending
pretending
he's
he's
beside
beside
me.
me.
All
All
alone,
alone,
I
I
walk with
walk with
him
him
till
till
morning.
morning.
Without
Without
him,
him,
I feel
feel
his
his
arms
arms
around
around
me.
me.
And
And
when I
when I
lose my
lose my
way,
way,
I
I
close my
close my
eyes and
eyes
he
and
has
he has
found
found me.
me. In the
The
rain,
rain,
the
the
pavement
pavement
shines
shines like
like silver.
silver.
All
All
the
the
lights
lights
are
are
misty
misty
in
in
the
the river.
river.
In
In the darkness,
darkness,
the
the
trees are
trees are
full
full of
of starlight, and
and
all I
all I
see is
see is
him and
him
me
and me
forever
forever
and
and forever.
forever. And I
I know
know it's
it's all
only
in
in my
my
mind that
I'm
I'm talking to
talking to
myself
myself,
and not
not
to
to him.
him. And
And I
although
know
I know that he is blind,
it's mine.
still I
Still I say
say there's
there's a
a way
way
for
for
us.
us.
I
I
love
love
him,
him,
but
but
when the
when the
night
night
is
is
over,
over,
he
he
is
is
gone.
gone.
The
The
river's
river's
just
just
a
a
river.
river.
Without
Without
him,
him,
the
the
world
world
around
around
me
me
changes.
changes.
The
The
trees
trees
are
are
buried
barren
everywhere. The
everywhere. The
streets are
streets
full
are
of
full of strangers.
strangers. I
I
love
love
him,
him,
but
but
every
every
day
day
I'm
I'm
learning.
learning.
All
All
my
my
life,
life,
I've
I've
only
only
been
been
pretending. Without
pretending. Without
me,
me,
his
his world
world will go
will go
on
on turning.
turning. A
A
world that's
world
full
that's
of
full of
happiness
happiness
that
that
I
I
have
have
never
never known.
known. I love him. Doo-doo. I love
Love him,
him. I
I
love
love
him,
him,
but
but
only
only
on
on
my
your
own.
own.
Yeah, good. How did that feel?
Pretty good, I think. I could feel the placement. A little less than last time, but that is to be expected with all different vowels, I guess. And I could still like kind of feel it. And I say it felt pretty good. I do need water though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead and get a sip of water.
I'll have to go refill this.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
How slippery this.
All Okay. So, I want you to reflect on what was maybe the number one thing that felt different than what you were working on when it felt too overpressurized and a little bit maybe too tight or too strident, maybe too much pushing, overpressurization. So, what felt different today?
I think definitely I was kind of probably straining a little bit too much. And also I think that I'm incompetent at warming. So that
Oh,
might play a role. Like you need to be warm, right? Just saying. I don't know if I'm very good at that. I
even if you
try, but I
just
don't.
each day just like Googled like voice warm ups for females or like vocal warm ups, um, or like soprano warm ups, or like you could
Okay.
do like alto warm ups. Like if you're working more high, you could do more like soprano warm ups. And then if you're working a little lower in your voice or like belting warm ups, each day you could just do like a different YouTube video and practice with that. And then you'll kind of get a feel for what some
Okay.
of those exercises are.
That's a
But I
good
know
idea.
sometimes it's hard to kind of self direct. It's like,
Yeah,
what
I was
do
like,
I
I don't know
do?
what to do.
So sometimes something like that might be really helpful. So I'm just going to put one that you could start with.
That'd be great. Thank you. Oh, I've always wondered, does
Yeah.
soprano and alto refer to the person or the song?
Soprano and alto is actually a choral division of voices.
So
Um,
like a choir?
so I actually, um, when I'm talking to my solo singers, I usually actually refer to it as soprano, mezzo soprano, and contralto. So a little bit of a different terminology there. So here in the link that I just put through, that's one you can maybe start with first. And then here's another that you could do. And then, yeah, I'll just give you like a few that you could work with this week. Yeah. Oh, if you click it and like open it in a browser, can you maybe like save like a bookmark of it, or
Yes.
you could do like a notes or like a Word doc and like copy and paste them in. So I put four different ones that you can maybe use this
Thank you
week.
so much.
Yeah,
Sorry, this takes a second.
no worries.
Okay, and then I'll just like keep this tab. I have a million tabs and stuff. Yeah, I am one of those people with like I don't know what to do without them all open. Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Yeah, my student Victoire recently, she was like, "You have so many like icons and things open on your computer. How do you do that?" Like I just have all these like documents open and like
Do
internet
them
pages open,
all.
and she was like, "That's so many tabs and things open. Why do you have that?" And I was like, "Well, I'll forget."
Yeah. Like, you're not gonna remember how to get to it. I was just recently typing an essay, and so I had like all my resources, and I'm doing
Oh,
another
right.
thing for
All
bio
the
and
windows
everything.
open.
And so
Yeah. Yeah,
I found it.
I totally get it. When I would write research papers in grad school, I remember just like disaster zone, and I'd be like, don't touch anything. I'd have it like in piles, and it would just be like all over the living room floor and the coffee table, and it would be like organized,
Yeah.
but to everyone else it just looked like a mess. And I would
That's
like
my
sit in the
entire
middle and I just have like everything arranged around me, like books and resources and things and papers and sticky notes and everything, and people would just be like, how do you keep track of this? And I was like, it makes sense in my mind. Don't touch it.
that's everything that I have organized is. I swear it's organized. It just doesn't look organized.
Right. Yep. I was like, it has to be a mess around me for me to know where it is. And it was like, if I cleaned it up, I'd be like, where is it? And I couldn't find it. So I was just like, just leave it because I know where it is.
Difference between neat and organized. Everything I own is organized, but nothing I own is neat.
I get it. Yeah, my husband doesn't like clutter, and I'm like, but it's so much more like useful. I see it. It's easy to reach.
What I have is
Like,
right here.
so So, yeah, I get it.
Mhm.
It's like as soon as I actually like clean it, I'm like, I don't know where
Forget where
anything
it
is
is.
anymore.
You're used to it being where it should be.
I get it. All right. So then, what would you say is maybe your number one key takeaway that you want to remember that helped you
Um,
today?
I want to make sure that I like kind of learn like where I'm positioned like before I sing, like what we did with like knowing where the mixing is before that I start singing the piece so that I don't like
Yeah.
go over too much on one side or the other.
hmm Well, what I would say is like the areas, I'd say like an F down. You could think of that being more like your chest voice range where we were doing E. And then from like the F up, think of that as more like the A range. And so that's more like where we were going through. And the A range would be more your mixy range.
Okay,
It's like a
cool.
good rule of thumb. And what I think probably was happening before is just an over pressurization. So if you feel
Okay.
that, then you need to engage more of that front to back muscle, elongate more to take a little pressure off of that side to side connection and stretch more front to back. And then it won't be pressed as tightly together. And it
Okay.
should feel a little more comfortable. Okay?
That's great. Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Great. So I think you've got some good stuff to work with this
Yes.
week.
Yeah.
Anything else that you wanted to clarify or ask questions about before we hang up?
Not that I can think of. This has all been very helpful. Thank you so much.
Great. Awesome. I'm so glad. Well, beautiful work today, Miss Fiona, and I
Yeah.
will see you next week.
See you next week.
All
Bye.
right. Bye, Fiona.